TCI is brought to you by Unbridled Song, sire of 100 stakes winners and 15 Grade 1 winners, including 2013 Dawn winner Great R.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. Joel, before we jump into this weekend's race, I want to talk about last weekend's race because we had our number 1 and our number 5 in action. Let's go right to the Twin Spires race replay and let's see our number 1 flashback in action.
Yeah, John, and the San Felipe, obviously, he was the horse that I think we thought he was physically. He didn't disprove that, but mentally, John, certainly he shows some big-time flaws in this race. Just his third performance here, but maybe he's too sharp coming in. But I tell you what, to carve out the sort of pace they did and to do it in a dueling fashion down the backstretch, that's just such a stressful trip. And to do it with a classy horse like Golden Sense. Now, he puts Golden Sense away at the top of the stretch, proves better than that colt, but however, the damage had been done through that quick opening pace. Certainly not the trip I thought he would get. I thought we'd get a quick pace. I thought Julian would be able to rate him behind that pace and make one run. Unfortunately, not the case. He was way too sharp in here, John. So a learning lesson for Flashback and perhaps trainer Bob Baffert in here. An unfortunate half-length loss, so he has to fall for me from that number 1 spot. From a mental standpoint, I still think there's a ton of talent there. As you saw Jerry Hollendorfer's colt pick up the pieces, he got just the perfect setup to win here and still only won by half a length over him, Here the Ghost.
Well, you mentioned that he falls from the number 1. We'll look at the new TCI top 10 in a second, but before we do, we have to watch Verrazano, a horse that was very, very highly touted coming into the Tampa Bay Derby. The question was, could he handle that track and could he handle all that speed that he'd be going against?
Yeah, I mean, really, that was the only question. I think, him handling a middle distance, 2 turns, wasn't really a question mark for me. If you look at him, he's a big colt. He's got that Giants Causeway on the bottom side. There's some stamina there. Really the top side is where you question, how far he really wants to go, John. He's so brilliant around 1 turn, but he handled 2 turns, kind of like Uncle Mo did, kind of like Quality Road. We've seen some brilliant type horses that can handle 2 turns in the past, and he certainly outclassed this field, John. He's many lengths better in this group. The question was the surface. Right. And he was able to handle that. He even overcame a quarter, and he won so easily. I mean, John Velazquez really never asked his colt at any point. He really won well within himself. And I think next time out, a 1.125 in the wood, he's going to be able to handle that just fine too, John, even though he's going to catch a tough group in there. I think right now you're looking at your favorite in the Kentucky Derby, but I still question how far he's going to go.
Well, we're looking here at last week's TCI Top 10. Here you see Flashback in at number 1. You see Verrazano in at number 5. Yeah. I guess the big question is, Joel, how far does Flashback drop this week and how far up does Verrazano move? Tell me about it.
Well, I told you Flashback has to come out of that 1 spot from a mental standpoint. Verrazano's going to come up, but not to number 1, John. I'm going to move him into the number 2 spot here. I'm going to leave a stablemate. I'm going to move him up. Kind of a battlefield promotion because he was ranked higher than Verrazano. And I was impressed with Verrazano. I think he belongs in your top 3 on raw talent. I mean, he might be multiple lengths better than this whole group right here, John. It's possible. He is that good. But again, at 1.25 miles, I mentioned Quality Road. I mentioned Uncle Mo. That's 2 horses right there that were brilliant from anywhere from 6 to 9 furlongs. That 10 furlongs is a killer for a lot of horses from a stamina standpoint. I still wonder if Verrazano can handle it. Revolutionary, I think, is a colt that can do it. And ironically, he's by Warpath, but I think he can do it.
Well, we're going to see Revolutionary in the Louisiana Derby, but we're also going to see horses like Oxbow this weekend in the Rebel at Oaklawn Park. Joel, let's talk a little bit about that race because as we mentioned coming into the show, man, this is an important time. All these points really matter. Coming out of the Rebel, we really could see a new points leader.
I think it's very likely, John. I mean, there are a handful of horses here that already have points, and really it's all it takes because as we know, I've Struck a Nerve is now off the Derby trail. He had, 51 or 52 points. The rest of the horses on top of the leaderboard right now are single prep winners. They have 50 points. So it's very likely the winner of the Rebel is going to be your new points leader and likely earn a spot into the Derby gate. I would say it's almost a certainty at this point. So it's a very important race, and it's obviously a very important comeback spot for Delhomme in here, your runner-up last year in the Remsen, and he faces another good speed horse in here, obviously your favorite, Bob Baffert's Super 99.
Well, let's talk about the points just for a second because, like you mentioned, they're so important right now. I mean, Delhomme has 1 point.
Right.
But the ironic part is he could win this race and be the new points leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just mentioned it. 51 points would put him at the top and assure him a spot in the Kentucky Derby. And he might be able to run second in here. And, obviously they're looking at one more prep for Delhomme. So he still has 2 steps before the Derby's even here. So Delome's sitting in an okay spot. He just needs to come back and run well. I don't think he has to win this race. He just needs to run well. And what's interesting is he gets 7 pounds from Super 99, and they're similar style horses. Super 99 is much quicker early, but I think Delome is a much different type of speed horse. He's a big, long-striding son of Dixie Union, John. He's going to be a colt that, with those 7 pounds, I think he's going to make a run at Super 99 down the backstretch with Garrett Gomez. Super 99 is a more compact, quicker, faster horse, and I think he's going to be on the lead in here. But Delome should go get him, and I think the pace scenario is interesting.
Super 99, you think he gets it done?
I don't. I think Delome goes at him early, and I think there's other rival speed in this race. Baffert's other horse that he used to have, ironically, title contender, has some speed. I think there's enough speed in here that's going to set it up for a horse that comes slightly off the pace. I really like Oxbow, John. He's a horse that's in our top 5 right now. Not so sure about the pattern with Oxbow. Coming back in 3 weeks, a 6 furlong work, and he just worked a bullet this week. They're asking a lot of him, but if Dwayne Lucas is right with Mike Smith, I think that he can prove best in this race. And if they go too fast up front, watch out for Den's Legacy. There's a colt that has not got a pace scenario or a fair racetrack yet. A lot of people think he's, maybe a second-tier kind of horse right now, and that may be possible. But don't cut him short if they go too fast up front. I think he can pick up the pieces.
All right, thank you, Joel. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week. We'll recap the Rebel, and we'll also have a preview of the Spiral and the Sunland Derby.